Hi everyone. I wanted to show you how to get started with project number 9, which is going to be a 2-page magazine spread, and you'll be creating this in InDesign, which you've been using all semester, and I'm sure you've been getting better at it. But I did make a template for you, and if you go into D2L under project 9, that's in week 13, you will be able to find the template for this. And so open that up, and when you open that up, you'll see something that looks just like what you see on the screen right now, which is a 2-page spread. You can tell it's 2 pages. They're 8.5 by 11. And then right down here is the gutter, and that would be in a magazine where the fold is. And so you have to be careful when you're designing for a magazine that you design each page very separately, or if you design it as a spread, which is a luxury in magazines actually, because a lot of times now they have an ad on, they have an article on one page and opposite is a full page ad. But when you can have the luxury of a 2-page spread, you have to be careful what you put across the gutter, because if you put someone's picture in the middle, they could get caught up in the fold there, and it wouldn't be very pretty. You wouldn't be able to, you might be able to see their eyes but no nose or something. So you have to be careful what you put there. You shouldn't put body copy or the article across there, because there will be words that will get lost. Okay, so let's get started. The main thing that we're talking about this week is grids, and how everything that is printed is designed with a grid, or at least it should be. So how do you get that grid? All right, let's look. We go up to layout and we say create guides, and you get this little dialog box, and you have to make decisions. So how many rows would you like? First, let's look at columns. How many columns? Let's go 6 columns. You can go any number that you want to. Usually it's an even number. And then let's have that many rows as well, six rows. So we have 6 columns and 6 rows. And this 1P means 1 pica, and that's this little area right here that you see between the lines, and that's the gutter. And usually that helps you to separate items so there's enough space between elements on the page. If you say margins, notice what happens. We are just using the real estate, so-called, inside the pink margins. But if you say page, those grid lines go all the way out to the edge of the page. So for now, let's say page, because as you know, many magazines bleed. They have photos that go off the page. And so let's say page here instead of margins, but you could choose which one you wanted to. All right, and then let's say okay. And by the way, if you don't like what you just did, you can always say remove existing ruler guides, and then it would remove them. But let's keep them in. So we'll say okay. The next thing you want to do is set up something called the baseline grid, and we mentioned this in class. To get to that, and you can't see it right now, it's invisible until you tell it to be visible. So what we will do to set that is we'll go up here, and we will say grids and guides, and then we're going to say right here, show baseline grid. So there it is. There's the baseline grid. It looks like school paper, really. When you look at it a little closely, it looks like school paper. Okay, so that's that. But I don't like to design on that. I use that a lot for body copy. When I want my body copy to align on each of these little lines, we call it locking to the baseline grid when we want our body copy to lock. But we'll get to that in a few minutes. All right. So right now I think I'll go and take that out for a little bit, because to me it gets a little annoying. I don't like to design with it. Some people do, and that's fine. It's an individual preference. All right. So now you have to decide, and I hope this is what you've been doing this week as we get to this, before this point, is you've been deciding what to do your story on. So there are several parameters, specifications for the assignment. Make sure you read those in the project number 9 in D2L. But for right now, I'm going to draw a photo. So this is the rectangle frame tool, and I'm going to bring it out, and I'm going to put it right on the line there. and I'm going to bring it down. It's going to be a nice big dominant photo. Every two-page spread should have a dominant element of some type. So the next thing I'm going to do after I've drawn that, and see how nicely it aligns on my grid there, it's very nicely set up, I'm going to go up to File, and I'm going to say Place, and that's Command D or Alt D or Control D, I guess, whatever it is on a PC, but Command D. And then I'm going to go look, and I have my photos all ready to go. So I'm going to say, let's choose one of my favorite ones, which is, I think it's these, yeah, let's choose the nice flowers there. So we're going to open that, and it doesn't quite fit. See how big my box is, and my photo is not quite that wide. So what I need to do is click on this arrow, which is the direct selection tool. And we had a tutorial on this one day as well. So I'm going to click on that, and you see it forms a little orange box around it, little kind of brown or tan or orange. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key. Always hold down the Shift key when you try to crop the photo, make it bigger, because if you don't, you'll distort the photo. Now with flowers it might not matter that much, but if you're trying to get a person, their face to fit in the box, you don't want to make it wider or taller than it is. You want to make it proportional. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to drag. And so what I'm doing is I'm making that photo bigger. I'm going to let go, and then as long as I'm in this tool, the direct selection tool, I can then click on the arrow keys, and I can move this over a little bit. And there, it fits perfectly in that box. So I'm going to come over and click on the other selection tool there. Okay, so that looks kind of nice. Now I think I'll do a headline. And this we're going to say is like a two-page spread. It's the beginning of a story. And so I'm going to make this kind of big, dominant, nice big type to carry the weight of this heavy story. And remember, you have to have about 4 photos. So I'm going to say, off to market we go. And I'm going to select this and go up here, and I'm going to make it, about 60 points. And I'm going to also make it all caps. But guess what? I don't have enough space. So I'm going to make sure it's all selected, and then I'll bring it back down a little bit. Make it a little smaller. So there we go. And you know, if you don't like that typeface, and I'm not crazy about Minion Pro, you can go choose another one. Let's see, what about Rockwell Bold? That's probably going to be too heavy. Well, that could work, but I don't know. It's a little heavy for a story about markets. So we'll just go back, and we'll take, what about Century Standard? That's kind of nice. I think I'll use that. But again, I have to make it a little bit smaller. So there, perfect. Okay, off to market we go. And then you need a little deck. And I like to put things in a separate text box, because then I can put different formatting on them. Let's say Ontario market is a delightful place to visit in summer. Okay, and I'm going to make that bigger, and so I'll go up here and I'll say about 24. I'm going to change the typeface to Gotham, and then I'm going to make this a little wider, and probably bring the type down so I can get it on one line. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I might actually make that two lines, and then I'm going to go to the T, then go up to the top of on the control panel, and I'm going to click on this to align that deck to the right. There we go. Okay, and I might change that. You know, that's the prerogative of the designer to make changes as he or she you know, creates. Nothing is ever the way you want it when you start it, in my opinion. Okay, and then I think I'll come down here and maybe put another photo in. And I think I'm going to have this one bleed off the page. So I'm going to bring it all the way down like that. Let me pull it down a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to, the box is selected, so then when it's selected I can go up and say place, and let's see if one of my other photos will work. Oh, that's kind of pretty, so let's choose that. And it looks like it's just about perfect there, I think. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so we've almost got our first page done. The next thing I'd like to do is create just like maybe a little cut line or caption that talks about what we're seeing on this page. So for right now, I'm going to fill it with placeholder text, lorem ipsum, which I don't want you to do, actually. But let's just select that, and then I'm going to go back and make that Gotham the same as that deck. So I'll say Gotham, just regular Gotham there. There we go. Okay. So that's pretty nice. And I might also, whoops, sorry, that got really small. I might also click on this and go here and again make it flush right up against the photo. So let's look at that. I'm going to hit Command semicolon and see what we have here. So that's looking pretty good. Maybe I'd put this up here, you know, see if that would work. I think I like that a little better right there. And maybe I'd even end up putting another small photo right there. All right, let's go to the second page. Let's see our grid. There's our grid. And for this one, I think I'll put a photo up in this area of the page. And again, using my grid very carefully, and let's make it bleed. And Command D, which is the same as place. And let's see what else we have here. Well, that's kind of pretty. What else do we have? Oh, let's do the berries. That's a pretty photo. Okay, and that really looks pretty perfect in there. Okay, so we could, yeah, I think that looks good. I like that. All right, so then maybe I think I'd like to put a photo right here and have that bleed off, so maybe a few smaller photos. So I'm going to hold on to that, and I'm holding down the Option key to duplicate that same size box. So I have one there, one there. Let's have another one. Okay, so I have 3 boxes, and let's bring in 3 more photos. Here's one of olives and beans, pickled things that were at this show that I went to, this market. So now I'm going to click on that, and again I need to pull that out to fit the width of the box. There we go. Okay, and let's get another one. Some more flowers, and then I'm going to click on the white arrow and see how big that photo is. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to just kind of drag it in, get some more of that photo in there. Hold that down, get some more photo in there. There, that looks pretty good. And then we have one more, and I'm going to go Command D, which is the same thing as place. And let's see, what don't we have? We got those. How about these? I love this photo of all these bright colored peppers. I didn't even know they made peppers till I saw them at this event, at this market. So I'm going to, again, click on the white arrow. So the photo's kind of big. I'm going to hold down the Shift key and then pull it in. See how big that photo is? So I think we don't need to show all of it. That looks pretty good. That gives an idea. Or I could even go down a little bit more. And now I'm doing the arrow keys to pull it up into the box there. That looks pretty good. Okay, now we have to work with some more cut lines. So I'm going to actually I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to hit Command C for copy, and then I'll come over here, and then I'm going to place it maybe right up in this box. See how nicely everything's fitting within the grids that we created very nicely and neatly. And now I'll draw my, well, let's see, I think we need one more of these. Let's see. Let me bring this one. I'm going to hold down the Option key and drag. That duplicates. And I'll put one right there. That looks nice right there. And then now it's time for my body copy. So I think I'll just draw with the T. I've selected the T. And let's bring this right over to here. And I actually have a story, so I will again say place. So I'm going to go place and hit the word story here, open it up, and bring in this story. And then this has actually a byline and a headline. It doesn't have anything to do with a market, but we'll use this body copy for now. And I'll get rid of those words. And then I don't like the type. You know, that type's not great, so I'm going to, that's actually, what is that? It's courier, boo, courier. So I'm going to select it all, and I'm going to, I'll make it Minion Pro. I'm not crazy about that, but it's easy to grab here, Minion Pro. And then if I'd like to put in a drop cap, so I'm going to click right here in that paragraph, and I'm going to go up to the P here for paragraph formatting controls. And I'm going to come over and right here, this little area right here, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and I get a nice drop cap. You could even go, you know, you can go have some fun and go really big with it if you want to. And I'm going to select it, and I'm going to make it the same type as this, because this is Minion Pro and this isn't. So let's make it the same type. And I believe that was, what did I choose here? Century Standard. So let's click that. And now we have an R that matches the type that we have over here. And you can see that by looking at the R. It's the same kind. Okay. So that's looking okay, but one thing is that this type is really, that's a really wide column, and most people wouldn't want to read a wide column like that. So what we're going to do is go up to Object and go to Text Frame Options. Text Frame Options. And I'm just going to see where the 1 is highlighted blue. I'm just going to hit a 2, and then I'm going to say OK. And it becomes 2 columns, and that's exactly what we want to happen. So I'm going to bring this up a little bit, and the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select the whole thing, and I'm going to go over to Paragraph Formatting Controls again, and I'm going to right here select this where it says First Line Left Indent, and I'm going to make it a 1p, which is 1 pica, which equals actually 0.167 of an inch. And then I'm going to hit return, and then we have our paragraph, so it's nicely formatted. The other thing I want to do, though, is just a little design tip, is if you use a drop cap, you don't have to indent it. So we're going to come right back up to this paragraph here. I'm going to say 0. So bring that back out like that. Now the next thing that we want to do is align this copy to the grid. Let's go look at our grid. Grids and guides, show baseline grid. And if you look at it, it's not bad. It's pretty good. What is my type? My type is 10-point type, and instead of having that parentheses there, I'm going to actually select the 12. And it's 10-point type on a 12-point grid. I'm going to select it all, and I'm going to go up to type, and I'm going to say paragraph, select paragraph, type paragraph. And if I come right over here, this says do not align to baseline grid, and this says align to baseline grid. So let's click on that and align it to the baseline grid. And it does it. Now, we have a little problem, and that is that this R is kind of controlling our lives at the moment. So what I'm going to do to fix that is try to bring this up and see if that fixes it. If not, I think what I'm going to have to do is go in by hand and take this down to the next line. There we go. Okay. So there we go. Everything is beautifully aligned. Now if I want to look at it without all my uh, grids and everything, I can do Command semicolon, and I still have my baseline grid though, so I need to go get rid of that. Say Grids and Guides under View and say Hide Baseline Grid. And now I'm going to do a Command 0 so we can see what we have here. And there's our two-page spread. Not too bad. Not, I probably tweak it. I tweak everything I design. I'm never really happy, right out of the chute. I always have to make changes. But basically, it's not looking too bad, and I think it could pass and go in a magazine. But the thing that we did that is what we really kept within the grids and the grid lines. And see here, there's a pica in between each of these photos. There's a pica between the copy and the photo. So it's using the grid that makes such a difference and makes things look very neat and orderly. Okay, if you have any questions about this one, put them in Facebook and somebody will answer you. And let us help you if you need help. All right, have a great rest of the weekend, and I'll see you Tuesday night. Remember, this project, Project 9, isn't due until I believe it's April 27th, Monday, April 27th. All right, bye-bye.